All right, people. Review of the week time. So, it's probably going to be a shorter review of the week than is normal. It's probably going to be around about 15 to 20 minutes, this one. Just because this week we've had a lot on, but we haven't had much in the way of fights. And I'm saying on my live, it's really this coming week. We have a new way on Friday, and that's leading into the PBC show on the 1st. We also have the Adam Azim fight on the 1st. I think, is Dalton Smith fighting this week as well, if I'm not mistaken, or is that later on? We've also got Zurdo then the week after, and February is just a crazy month for boxing. So we have a lot of good stuff really from this week on for the next coming weeks, and it's really, I'm going to be talking about a lot of fights that have not necessarily been announced, but for all intents and purposes are done. So there's a lot of good things happening. And some would argue, and I'm not going to talk about the Darren Till fight, by the way, in case anyone's asking, or there was fight, that we're not going to talk about that. We definitely have to talk and start with last week. So Monday, it should really have just been about the press conference, the kickoff press conference for February 22nd. We've seen the majority of the fighters there in London. We certainly seen Beterbiev and Bivol. That was brilliant, What was it, Dimitri Bivol? Or was it Dimitri Bivol who, when someone says, do you have a message you want to deliver? I'm not a postman. I thought that was good. They have low-key banter, but the press conference was great. Seeing the likes of Dubois and Parker there, and knowing that's not even the main event, it's co-main. It's really crazy, really, how good this February 22nd show is. And in some ways, you kind of feel that the attention on that was overshadowed somewhat, and it was, by the announcement that Tyson Fury will be retiring from boxing with immediate effect. Dick Turpin wore a mask implying that he was robbed. Still. Listen, Tyson Fury has retired many a time. And the only time I ever really thought he sounded sincere was 2022, when he retired after he fought Dylan White in Wembley Stadium. That's the only time I could actually say it sounded somewhat sincere. Everyone else has just been, it's Tyson Fury doing what Tyson Fury does. He gave an interview with the Ring magazine, and this was just before he fought Alexander Usyk. So if you're watching it, he's referencing the coming Saturday, because obviously it hasn't happened yet. And he talked about wanting to get into boxing for money, and that he doesn't covet fame and this, that, and the other. This is a guy who, even during his hiatus, couldn't go away from knocking Anthony Joshua. This is a guy who doesn't show up at a Ring Award show because he wasn't nominated directly, individually, for any award. This is a guy who chooses to announce his retirement. He could do it anytime, any place. When the eyes are going to be on another event, this is when he chooses to do it. You see a pattern here. Someone who doesn't care about much of attention. This is just a ploy to get more eyes on him, get more people talking. And Turkey has already said he's going to go and have a chat with Tyson Fury in the coming weeks. And I suspect he's going to be looking to make the Anthony Joshua fight. It is one of the fights he's talked about making. It's one of the fights that's on his list that he wants to make. So there's no doubt in my mind that he's still talking about making that fight now. So there's no doubt in my mind Turkey Al-Sheikh will probably go and say to Tyson what he wants to hear. And Fury will inevitably come back because he will look for a big payday. And again, the only time I think a retirement from him will be sincere is if he's just, completely starched out. I don't think Joshua's going to be the man to do it, but I think that's when it's going to be sincere. Or if he becomes, say, champion again and is not able to milk the title, he might throw his toys out at the pram and walk off then. But do I think this is a sincere retirement? No, I certainly don't. If it is, then, please do not come back. Please. He's had a great career. He's a good fighter. But as a person, it's like we don't need someone like Tyson Fury who's going to be disingenuous, trying to deceive the fans, as kind of I don't want to say the head of boxing, but one of the main guys of boxing. We don't need that. We need what we're getting now, which is Turkey Al-Sheikh leading this charge where everyone is fighting everyone, because he's banging their heads together and promoters are working. That's what we need. We need this. We don't need the Mayweathers and the Furies of the world. We don't need that. We've had enough of it. So that's the main story. In terms of fights being announced, we're going to work backwards. So It was announced by Mike Coppinger that Crawford versus Canelo is reportedly being finalised for September. 168, no rehydration clause at all. Wouldn't make much of a difference with Canelo being not the biggest 168 pounder in the world, but a rehydration clause nevertheless is still a rehydration clause. I don't like them in general. I think they're ridiculous. I just think you've made catch weights for non-title fights I'm fine with, but rehydration clause I think is ridiculous. I think you've made the weight rehydrate, simple as. In terms of this fight, well, I said in the video, what does that mean for Canelo in May? Would he, because Canelo he might be working with Turkey, he might not, but Canelo is always the guy who does things the way he wants to do them. If he wants to fight in May, no one's going to stop him. You do wonder, will he just see the May date off? Never mind Cinco de Mayo, and just go straight in, Mexican Independence Day. It's interesting, you know, Crawford is one of the best fighters Canelo will have fought. But having said that, Canelo's going to be one of the best fighters Crawford's ever fought. Against Madrimov, again, different style, but I thought Crawford won it, but he made hard work of it. And Canelo, I just don't see him winning that fight. I really don't. He'll need to be absolutely razor sharp and perfect, and I don't know if he will be. So we have that fight potentially coming up in the month of September. It's only January, so a lot can change between now and then. You best be believing a lot can change between now and then. God only knows what might happen. Jerome Boots Ennis versus Danny Ones is now nearly finalised for the unification. This will happen at the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Yikes, when is the last time we seen a big show at the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey? Arturo Gatti used to fight there quite a lot, but it's been a long time since we've seen a big time event there. That would be epic. Finalised apparently for the 12th of April. Now, as many of you will know, I think Boots Ennis is very, very talented. He has looked a little bit flat in his last two performances, it's fair to say. Staniones is a solid fighter. He is a solid fighter. This will be a unification. The one thing I would say about this, which makes me kind of think that it will really tell us where we're at with Boots, whether he should move up or not, is he's been defending his IBF title. The IBF, and again, I don't necessarily agree with this, have a rehydration clause the morning after. You cannot weigh any more than 12 pounds the morning after. Now, you're talking about probably 8 o'clock in the morning, so if you weigh in, and I don't know if you do a ceremonial weigh-in either, but you basically in the morning of the fight, you can't weigh any more than 12 pounds over 174 pounds, or 147 pounds. So Boots wouldn't be able to weigh any more than 159 pounds. I imagine he comes into the ring way over that on fight night. That's waived for unifications. So that's why you see like fighters, they don't really like the IBF for that reason. And I'd say IBF are one of the easier to make a unification because you don't have to worry about it. You're like, right, rehydration clause is gone then. So I think that will really tell us a lot about Lennox Lewis. I see Lennox Lewis there. Boots Ennis, how he is at welterweight, because the rehydration clause can't be easy. It has to be an issue. It has to be. So without that, for this fight with Staniones, we'll really be able to see, right, how does he look? Is he good? I think Boots is tremendously talented. I'm still a bit disappointed we didn't get the Ortiz fight. I really am. Turkey has been talking about doing Boots Ennis versus Teofimo Lopez. And if that's for a unification fight at 147, I would make Boots Ennis favourite. Certainly would. Unification, big fight. Daniel Dubois still wants to see Fury versus Joshua. Get them in the ring. I want to see them now. I bashed up Joshua. He's got to fight Fury now. I want to see what they've got left. Maybe I'll fight the winner. Do you know something? A lot of people are like, oh, Dubois saying... I don't really mind him saying that because he's kind of right in a sense. He's the champion. Fury's coming in at the back of a loss, as is Anthony Joshua. A devastating loss. Joshua, I mean, like, he was a voluntary defence and Joshua had a rematch clause in place for him. And he's the challenger. And he gets ironed out in 5 rounds. In reality, no, he shouldn't be able to go straight back in like that, clicking fingers. Go back in with Dubois. Earn it. Yeah, fight Tyson Fury. If you beat him, grand, cool. You go back in, you have another crack. But earn it. I don't think he beats Daniel Dubois, to be honest with you. But there you go. Jose Venezuelas will defend his world title against Anton Russell. I was going to say Gary Russell Jr. No, Gary Anton Russell on the undercard of Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach on March the 1st. A fight in which no one's really talking about. PBC, I mean, like, just, mate. A fight that we will be talking about, which has, I don't know, is he a former PBC guy now, but Pitbull Cruz. Isa Pitbull Cruz versus Ryan Garcia on the same card, maybe in May, as Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. Now, I like what Turkey is doing in the sport. He's bringing fighters together. He's bringing promoters together. He's putting on some really good shows. I get the fact that he's trying to build fights, and that seems to be, to me, what he's trying to do. He's trying to build fights, but some fights don't need building. And I don't think that you need to do Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis on the same show. Or not Tank Davis, you don't need to do Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney on the same card, but just not fighting one another. They need to fight one another. I really don't understand why you wouldn't do that. I really don't. That's one of the ones where I'm just like, no, I'm going to question that. And that's what Turkey has said, yeah. He wants to make Lopez versus Boots in October on the same card as the Haney-Garcia rematch. He would like to see the winners and losers face each other. Yeah, like that makes sense, but just do it now. I just do it now. Like, instead of having, Garcia and Haney go through, respective fights, just fight now. Well, when Garcia is allowed to fight again, because obviously he's banned up until April. Now, if Tyson Fury is retired, that then means we have to stop and look and say, well, look, who's Anthony Joshua going to face? Eddie Hearn gave a list of opponents, and I'll actually, do you know what? I'll talk about that now at the end, because I'm working my way down, so I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. But apparently Eddie Hearn has said that he spoke with Oscar De La Hoya about making Jay Opeitia versus Zurdo Ramirez. Now, there is a lot of rumours going around the place that Zurdo will have to make a mandatory defence of one of his titles, which is against Uriel Dorticos. I think that could be the WBA. It is the WBA. So they're normally quite good when it comes to voluntary, or when it comes to, mandatories and unifications, but WBA are just as bad as the WBC. You wouldn't know what they do. I hope that doesn't come into it. I would imagine that Zurdo would have the beating of Dorticos. Dorticos, although he's a Cuban, he's a very entertaining Cuban fighter. He's not the most technically gifted. He's good, don't get me wrong. He's very good. He's not, raw or anything like that. But he is more all action. The KO doctor, and that's you worry, because Zurdo, he's never shown a bad chin. He's been stunned down at 168 by Jesse Hart, but he's never shown any problems in the chin department. He's not going to want to stand in front of Uriel Dorticos, because that power is legit with Dorticos. He's not exactly the most sophisticated fighter in the world, but he is legit. His power is crazy. The KO doctor. Sebastian Fundora versus Errol Spence is now reportedly not happening. Listen, Errol Spence needs to call it a day. I don't want to see him anywhere near a ring. I am convinced he's got residual trauma from that car crash a couple of years ago, 5 years ago now, and the beating he took against Crawford. I don't want to see him fight Fundora. I don't think he deserves a shot, quite frankly. He's already coming out the back of a loss. And I don't want to see him fight Fundora. Simple as. I want to see him retire. Errol Spence needs to sail off into the sunset. That is all I want to see from Errol Spence. I just don't want to. No, I just don't. So Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., a 2-fight deal. First fight set for April, rematch to happen before the end of the year. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still struggling a little bit with this. For me, look, don't get me wrong, it's a good fight. I'll say it's a good fight. It's a gimmick fight, really. It's just, I'm struggling to get up for it. I am, but I can already tell the casual. See, people on here are saying, they don't care and this, that, and the other. A lot of the fans, when I ask fans, they're like, what do you think? People who view the channel and stuff, they're like, I don't really mind about this fight. I go into an office a day or two a week, and straight away they're asking me, Benn, Eubank. The casual audience are going to lap it up. So it's probably going to do very, very good numbers. And a 2-way rematch, it's going to do good numbers. It will. I know some of us on here are thinking it won't. No, it'll do good numbers. I just think it's the most forced fight I've ever seen. I just don't understand. Part of me is thinking, is the reason why Eddie Hearn is looking to do this fight is because he knows, or maybe he's had conversations with Turkey, because Conor Benn, in the space of 2 weeks, it went from world title to Chris Eubank Jr. Does he know that a lot of the guys, the Devin Haney's, the Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez's, are going to move to 147, and he's just thinking, do you know what, you're never going to win a world title against these guys. It's not going to happen. So easier to just cash him in there against Chris Eubank Jr., do a two-way rematch, make 2 big paydays, see you Conor Benn, bye-bye, and see you Chris Eubank Jr. too, to be honest with you, because, I don't think Eubank has that much left, to be honest with you. I was talking about Joshua versus Fury, and Fury being retired, so it's seemingly unlikely we're going to get that fight. Then the question becomes, well, what happens next? Deontay Wilder is scheduled to face Curtis Harper sometime in April. April's going to be a busy old month, isn't it? He's going to be facing Curtis Harper sometime in April, and that's his comeback fight. Well, Eddie Hearn has now said that if Tyson Fury's retirement is sincere, some of the opponents, one of them would be Wilder, Dylan White, Bacoli, Parker versus Daniel Dubois winner, and Zhang versus Caballel. People have been telling me that Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua, I don't know how true this is, both picked Parker to win against Daniel Dubois. That's got to be wishful thinking right there. They are probably praying for a Joseph Parker win, because that's a more winnable fight than Daniel Dubois. Certainly is. Listen, I said I don't think Joshua should just go straight in off the back of a loss, but money talks, and money talks and BS walks. Wilder and Bacoli. Now, personally for me, out of the names he's mentioned there, rehabilitation fight, Dylan White. Get a win, get a knockout, see you later, make a bit of money, probably put it on pay-per-view, job done. Wilder, winnable fight as well. Bacoli, someone in a live I did, basically he couldn't have put it any better. He said that really is do or die. And it is. They'd have to give him a king's ransom to take that fight, in my opinion. He would not take that fight for anything less than a king. You'd pretty much have to give him the purse you'd get for Tyson Fury to take the Bacoli fight. But if he could beat Martin Bacoli, he's high up at the WBA rankings. He is coming off the back of a win. It would literally reinvigorate his career if he could go in there and beat Bacoli. I don't think he's got a prayer of doing it, and I don't think the fight will happen, quite frankly. But Eddie Hearn can say whatever he wants. If Turki Al-Sheikh wants it, if he looks at Bacoli and thinks, do you know what, I want to see you and Joshua, it's going to happen. It's as simple as that. In terms of the options and the names there, I would say that Deontay Wilder is the most likely, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think that's the reason behind his fight with Curtis Harper. It's to go in, get a devastating knockout, look a bit like your old self again in terms of letting the big punches go, so you can then sell it to the fans like, oh, this is going to be competitive, this is this is that. When in reality, we all know that, it's a fight between two guys who have seen better days. You're going to try and sell Wilder as being dangerous. I don't think he is that dangerous these days, but you never know until you get there. You never know until you give it a go, I suppose. So that is pretty much that. Like I said, there was not a great deal of boxing news, to be honest with you. There's not a great deal of boxing news that's come in the last couple of days. So I'm probably going to leave it there. I think we've got a good 15 plus minutes of review of the week, given the fact that Naoya Inoue is in action this coming week, and we'll be doing a lot of kind of previews of the following week. I think next week's episode will be a little bit more longer. Will be a little bit longer anyway. But for now, people, I will leave it there. Lads, lassies, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, smash the like button, all that good stuff. I'm not a million miles away from 22k. It'd be lovely to hit it before the start of February. It would be in good stead for the new year coming, because we want to try and get to 30k if we can. It's ambitious, but when we're in the 20s, you can look a little bit further ahead. It's not like going from 5k to 10k. It's a bit different. You have a bit more, you think something can happen, and I think it will. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a great week watching. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Until next time, people, I will leave it there. Like I said, all that good stuff. Hit subscribe, like, notification. I will chat to you later. Peace.